Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the movie Pokemon Detective Pikachu. And I think this was a really good movie. It did a great job of being for kids and adults at the same time, for those who are just getting into Pokemon and those who have been with Pokemon for years. And it's definitely hands down pretty much the best video game slash anime adaptation that we've had so far. And they just did a phenomenal job with this, really, of going throughout the movie and really making the Pokemon world come alive with the designs. All the Pokemon look very well. Detective Pikachu, right off, I mean, granted, they put the most work into him, but you can see if a Pikachu existed, I could totally see it looking like that and acting like that and just moving around like that. They did a very good job on that. We see that with, like, the Bulbasaurs and all the other kind of ones as well. You pretty much just take our world and replace all the animals with Pokemon. And it's just pretty good. They work with it very well. And I'm glad that I've seen this as an adult because I'm able to get all the kids' stuff and references of what's going on in the world, but also the adult humor like Detective Pikachu and all of his lines. It just works very well. And Ryan Reynolds was definitely the best choice to be Detective Pikachu in this, and I completely love all of his lines pretty much. He completely, I don't know if he steals the show, but he's a very important aspect of it because we see later on with what's going on in the plot how he kind of fits into it. So we start off and we are introduced to one of our main protagonists, Tim. And his friend is trying to help get him a Pokemon partner because he doesn't have one. See him trying to humorously catch a Cubone and that not working out very well. And we start learning as they get back into town that his friend's going to be leaving and that Tim has just been an insurance guy. And then he gets onto his phone and finds out that something has happened to his father. He gets a call from the Rhyme City Police Department. So he has to go off and figure out what's going on there. Say on board this train, we get exposition of like what Rhyme City's meant for. We see that this rich guy, Howard Cliffords, has had this disease and wanted to try and figure out a cure for it, and his idea was to live with Pokemon and help kind of evolve through them. That becomes an important plot point later on. Typical kind of Pokemon stuff. But we see that in Rhyme City, we don't see people really using Pokeballs. We see the Pokemon are just free to roam wherever, and there's no Pokemon battles. We see he talks to Ken Watanabe's character, and he's criminally underutilized here. I mean, this character doesn't have much, but I just like Ken Watanabe as an actor. It's like, oh, okay. This also comes into other characters, but Tim and Detective Pikachu and Tim's relationship with his father are the main crux of this plot. And even though it's simple, it's well executed and well done. I would rather take that over an overly convoluted, complicated plot that tries to subvert your expectations by saying, hey, Detective Pikachu's a Blastoise. That makes no fucking sense. Oh, and he's Tim's mother. You know, you gotta watch. You can just do a plain simple plot of like, oh, okay, we'll have to see how this goes. So, he just pretty much brushes off Ken Watanabe's character of trying to console him and says that he just wants to go handle what's going on with his father's effects. And we find out that throughout the movie that Tim doesn't have a good relationship with his father because when he was young, his mother died, and his father then kind of went into his work. And his father tried to reconnect with him, but he just didn't want to. It was just kind of painful, and I can kind of understand that, and he has to deal with that throughout the movie. So he's able to get to his father's apartment, but he's beset by Lucy, an intern at a media company who does mainly listicles and everything, but she wants to find a scoop and be a reporter. Lucy is played by the same actress that does Claire Novak in Supernatural. She does better here. I understand that she's more kind of annoying in this, but that's because the character kind of demands it. But then again, she's not really developed much beyond the point of wanting to be a reporter and having her Psyduck partner. That's about it. There's kind of some chemistry between her and Tim, but it's more in the background and not really developed that much at all. But of course, he kind of brushes her off, and he goes in the apartment, kind of looks around, sees that his father had a room made for him to live with him, and then just kind of looks around, finds this file of this R stuff, like evidently his father was investigating it, accidentally opens it up, is deluged with it, and then has to go out the window and let it out, and the gas then goes and affects some napalms. Tim then kind of just works around a little bit more and then gets introduced to our titular Detective Pikachu. It's like, wait a minute, you can understand me? Oh god, I've been waiting so long for this. But of course, Tim's freak out is kind of short-lived for this, because then the Apom, who are crazed up on that gas, come in and start to attack him. So they get chased through the building, and they're able to escape eventually, and we get this kind of humorous little scene where the Apom are done freaking out, and they have taken Tim's pants, and they just kind of present them back to him. Just to show how, like, this gas makes him go completely crazy, and then it's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, here's your pants. And of course, they're trying to figure out what's going on with his dad, and he's like, hey, listen, I have this hat, and it's got your father's name in it, and it's got his address. Something's going on here. We got to figure out what's going on. And they come to an agreement of, all right, we'll kind of investigate and see what's going on. They figure out that their best chance of attack is to find Lucy. She understood more than what she let on. Of course, they go and they talk to her, and we see that at that corporation that Howard and Roger are getting ready for a Pokemon parade and presenting it to the audience. Of course, Roger is kind of a dick as well and acts like a dick toward Lucy, but they talk to Lucy and she's like, hey, all right, fine, not here. And they go and see that something was going on down at the wharf. So they're like, okay, we got to figure out what's going on there. So they go on, and we see that there's this Mr. Mime there. It's like, hey, wait a minute, that might have been the informant. And them doing their good cop, bad cop to kind of figure out how to deal with Mr. Mime, and Tim being the one to eventually get the information from him that it was obtained that R through this underground battle thing that's going on. Essentially Pokemon Fight Club. So, of course, Tim and Pikachu go off there, and we see that the dude with the Charizard recognizes the Pikachu and wants a rematch with him. So like, okay, we do that. You give us the information on what you have with this R stuff. It's like, fine, okay. And they set Pikachu in there, but Pikachu has forgotten what's been going on. He's thinking, they're going, okay, I'm Harry's partner, but I don't remember any of my moves or whatnot. And he's just trying to run around and deal with this Charizard, and it's pretty hilarious, but Tim then hops in to help out, and that presents Charizard's owner to kind of pop in as well to figure out what's going on, but he gets knocked down, and he had this chest full, well, he had this vest on that had all this R stuff, and he actually gets knocked down, and that releases the cloud and sets the Pokemon all off, but then the authorities come in and deal with what's going on. And he talked about how the doctor had given that stuff, but Tim and Pikachu go and talk to Ken Watanabe's character, and hey, Harry could still be alive, and he's like, no, he really can't. And we see footage of the car wreck. It's like, ooh, that's kind of weird. And of course, they get more information about a doctor, so that leads them to what's going on at this laboratory. And Lucy pops up as well, and they go off to investigate. And they get in there and they see all this stuff, and we get this cool mention because this doctor is dealing with R and how it makes Pokemon more receptive to Mewtwo's powers. And of course, we see that Mewtwo is a big part of this, and that it is the same one from the Kanto region. I'm like, this is tied in to the first Pokemon movie. Alright, freaking amazing. But we see that at some point Mewtwo was able to escape and kind of tore through the facility. Like, oh god, let's see how this works out. But of course, we see that Roger has been tipped off to them being in there, and he releases the Greninja on them to deal with them. Of course, Pikachu's had to deal with Lucy's Psyduck throughout the way, and they are trying to escape, and they're like, wait, alright. So they set off Psyduck to have his psychic kind of explosion and knocks out the Greninja, but they'd also seen a Torterra garden, and we find out that everywhere around is the Torterra. This leads to a nice action sequence as they're trying to make sure that they don't die, but of course Detective Pikachu is injured at this, and Tim is freaking out, and he's like, oh god. And we see these Bulbasaur pop up. He's like, please help me. He needs help. We need a healing Pokemon. And Lucy's like, they don't understand you, but they can understand the feeling, and that's the whole thing. That is a big part of Pokemon, and they got it. And the Bulbasaur come, and they're leading him off, but they don't want Lucy to come either, so she kind of works off. He's able to get in there, and we find out that it's Mewtwo, and he's able to heal Pikachu, and is trying to reveal what's going on, and Pikachu kind of gets some more memories back, thinking that he deceived Tim and was the one that sold out his dad, but see, they don't get the full thing because Roger pops up and they capture Mewtwo. And, of course, Tim thinks that it's good to go off and warn Howard of what's been going on with Roger. And we have, of course, been introduced to him, and he said that he was the one that put Harry on the case of getting Mewtwo and figuring out what's going on with Roger. But he goes off, and Detective Pikachu is walking along the same bridge and finds that it's a Greninja star, and everything that Howard has told him has been a lie, and he runs off to try and help Tim and Lucy and them. Tim, of course, is beset upon by Howard, and Howard is able to transfer his consciousness into Mewtwo and is trying to use Mewtwo and the R-Gas to fuse humans and Pokemon because that would work out in the best way to evolve people and to deal with diseases and stuff like that. Totally makes sense within the Pokemon realm. That's usually a kind of thing that works out. So I'm like, hey, yeah. And we find out that Roger that we've been following was actually Howard's Ditto, and Tim has to fend off this Ditto. Of course, Mewtwo/Howard is able to go around, starts fusing people together. We see Lucy fused with her Psyduck. We see Ken Watanabe fused with his Snubbull and all that. But Pikachu's able to get in and starts remembering his moves and starts battling Howard Mewtwo. And they're able to get into a point where Howard is distracted long enough and that Ditto is dealt with, that Tim is able to take off the control device and Mewtwo's able to fix everything. And everybody's like separated. We learned that Harry was fused with his Pikachu and that Mewtwo had seen this and had learned about humans again because he had thought humanity was evil. But after the whole car accident, Pikachu was pleading with Mewtwo and offered up his body to help save his partner. I'm like, God damn it! The feels! Yes, that is a great-ass Pikachu, man. And he said he needed Tim to help kind of heal his father as well. And we see that it is Ryan Reynolds as his father, and that they're kind of reunited and everything, and that's really cool. And we'd seen Tim dealing with his feelings about his father throughout the movie, and that he should have come here to live with his dad, and was sad about that. And seeing those kind of moments worked really well. It didn't feel fake. The actor that they got for Tim did a very good job at conveying those emotions and not seeming whiny or kind of stupid. He felt like a very real character dealing with all these things and going on this adventure with Detective Pikachu, his father. And, of course, we get to the end and we see that the real Roger has to deal with his own kind of stuff with his father. And we're like, hey, you wrote this, you're going on and doing it at the end, and I'm going to make sure you put at the end of your spiel that I'm going to do whatever I need to fix all this. It's like, all right, cool. Lucy got her scoop and everything and can be a real reporter. Well, we get towards the end of the movie and we see that Harry has given his son a ticket to go back home. And he's like, you know what? I think I want to stay with you for a while, if that's okay, and kind of learn how to be a detective and everything. And we've seen that Pikachu has now reverted back to the original voice actor saying Pikachu, and it's like, yes, it just fits very well. And that's where the movie ends. And I know they're already working on a sequel, and I just have faith in them. Though it's kind of weird being like, okay, how are they going to do Detective Pikachu if Ryan Reynolds is not in Pikachu anymore? So there's that kind of thing, but yeah, honestly, it doesn't really bother me because I definitely the dynamic is still there. We still get the cute Pikachu, and we still get Ryan Reynolds, and then trying to teach your son how to be a detective and repairing that kind of relationship. And that was just the big whole core of this movie of a father and a son figuring out their relationship, and it's done very well and done in the world of Pokemon. It's fully realized. It's like, okay, yeah, these don't look. I mean, yeah, it's crazy seeing the more realistic designs of the Pokemon, but it's never so far away that it completely takes away your suspension of disbelief. You look at this and you're like, okay, this is the Pokemon world. This is the same world that I've been in the games and I've seen in the anime and what's been going on there. And it's just cool to see those things done so well and to see certain storylines carry over, like Mewtwo. Mewtwo just works very well as being an integral plot point in this movie and connecting it back to the Kanto region and all the different regions as we've seen throughout all these little hallmarks. Works so well, and I was very glad that I was able to see this and hope that it does well and that this is really shown as what you were supposed to do for a video game / anime movie. Just really understand the world and write a story that just fits and doesn't try and subvert expectations and just works. A plot that's driven by characters, and because I never saw a point where it's like, oh, okay, the plot demands that this happens. The twists and turns are dealt with information of what we're finding, straightforward and character motivations. So I'm just glad that they were able to do this so well. So those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.